When you stand before a narcissist, it feels like being sucked into a relentless whirlwind, an almost invincible force that overwhelms you with lies, manipulation, and cold arrogance. It's often said that only super empaths, those extraordinary, empathic souls with the ability to see through the darkness, have the strength to break through their impenetrable shell, bringing the light of truth into the corners the narcissist always tries to hide from. But is that the whole story? The deeper truth is that you don't need superpowers or a special label to confront and overcome their abuse. True strength doesn't come from mystical abilities. It comes from the unwavering flame in your mind, from a sharp awareness of your self-worth, and from the courage to set boundaries that no one can cross. Each of us, whether born empathetic or simply a heart that's been shattered but refuses to surrender, carries the potential not only to survive but to conquer the narcissist, turning pain into power and manipulation into an opportunity for rebirth. Join me on this journey of discovery, where you'll realize that super empath isn't a title reserved for someone out there, but the most powerful version of yourself, waiting to be awakened. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on the practical and profound secrets that will help you face narcissistic abuse, regain control of your life, and live in the light you truly deserve. The first thing to understand clearly is that not only super empaths have the ability to break the manipulation of a narcissist, all empaths possess this potential, as long as they can control their emotional thinking and apply the no-contact strategy consistently and decisively. However, this path is not easy for everyone to walk steadily. Many empaths struggle to maintain their calm, especially when faced with strong and chaotic emotions. Some people fail to persist in maintaining distance when their negative emotions have subsided, and this makes them susceptible to being pulled back into the whirlpool of manipulation. Furthermore, not everyone realizes that seeking revenge or attempting to resolve the relationship after the emotional wounds have lessened is unnecessary. Sometimes it is the lack of determination and consistency in protecting oneself that causes an empath to become entangled in the narcissist's subtle game. They might think, "This relationship can still be salvaged," or "I can forgive," and these thoughts make them open up once again to be manipulated. Now let's explore why super empaths can become a nightmare for narcissists. 1. Super empaths know how to master their emotions. A super empath does not hurt the narcissist out of revenge or to win in a power struggle. In fact, their actions are not a deliberate attack, but a natural response born from self-preservation and unwavering resilience in the face of manipulation. They do not react with rash emotions or lose control like some others might. Instead, they apply reason and patience to protect themselves. A super empath understands that narcissists thrive on controlling the emotions of others. Once they realize this, they do not simply withdraw from the relationship but build a strong mental defense. They do not allow the narcissist to invade their mind and heart. This, for the super empath, is not just a defensive strategy, but a way to regain their own power. When they set firm boundaries and refuse to accept any manipulation, that in itself is the greatest form of torment for the narcissist, because nothing hurts and confuses a narcissist more than indifference, non-responsive, and withholding fuel for their games. When the super empath stops letting their emotions and lack of control dictate their reactions, the narcissist can no longer maintain their influence and control. This leaves them confused, failing to manipulate and eventually realizing they can no longer take over the super empath. Furthermore, a super empath understands that silence has superior power. They don't need to say much or take drastic actions. Cutting off all contact, living independently, and steadfastly refusing to provide energy to the narcissist is how they cause the narcissist to gradually lose all power and control. No longer an easy target, the super empath has escaped the narcissist's trap and has become the one who controls their own life. That is why the presence of a super empath is not just a major challenge for the narcissist, but also a form of prolonged mental torment, making them feel helpless, threatened, and ultimately defeated. 2. Insightful intuition. the super empath's weapon to see through the darkness of the narcissist. In a world full of masks and lies woven by the narcissist, the super empath stands out like a sharp yet quiet flame, carrying within them a nearly supernatural insight. An ability to perceive far beyond what the naked eye can see. This is not an innate gift reserved for a chosen few, but the result of sensitivity honed through wounds, through moments where they were manipulated and hurt by those very individuals they can now see through. This ability is like an invisible blade cutting through the thick camouflage the narcissist builds, from their charming smiles, sweet words, to the fake confidence they use to mask their true nature. The super empath doesn't just sense surface emotions, they hear the deep notes hidden in a voice, see the cracks in the eyes, and feel the insecurity trembling behind the arrogant wall the narcissist has built to protect their fragile ego. The power of this intuition lies in how the narcissist operates. They live and exist by the blindness of others, by people not recognizing the truth behind their words and actions, and thereby crush them. Narcissists need victims to believe their stories, need people who will bow to their control without questioning. But when the super empath steps in, everything changes. With eyes opened by experience and awareness, they see what the narcissist is trying to bury, the weakness hiding behind the veil of pride, the fear exposed, and the insecurity that constantly gnaws at their soul. When the super empath identifies these things, they unknowingly cut off the energy the narcissist depends on, the energy that comes from blind admiration, unconditional submission, and the silence of those who dare not confront them. Insightful intuition is not just the ability to see, it is the power to shatter illusions, to make the narcissist feel exposed to their true self. Imagine a real-life scenario. During a group conversation, the narcissist begins to exaggerate their achievements, telling lies about victories that never happened to attract attention and reinforce their perfect image. Others might nod along or stay silent to avoid conflict. But the super empath is different. With their sharp perception, they immediately recognize the abnormality in the story. Perhaps a detail that doesn't make sense, a small contradiction the narcissist accidentally reveals. Instead of jumping into a heated argument or directly accusing them, the super empath calmly asks a simple question. Really? I thought that project was a team effort, right? Gently, calmly, but sharp enough to make the narcissist flinch. Or when the narcissist tries to blame someone else to avoid responsibility, the super empath might smile and say, I don't think that's quite right. Would you like to explain further? They don't need to yell or turn everything into a battle. Their insight, combined with their calm demeanor, is enough to plant seeds of doubt in the minds of those around them and leave the narcissist feeling confused. The effectiveness of this insightful intuition lies in how it shakes the false ego the narcissist has spent a lifetime building. What they fear most is not being openly attacked, but being seen through, being forced to face themselves, the truth they've always been running from. When the super empath exposes the cracks in their mask, even with a knowing glance or a quiet comment, they break the emotional supply the narcissist needs to maintain control. The narcissist can no longer manipulate someone who no longer believes in their game, no longer gets caught up in their lies or subtle control. This makes the super empath a threat the narcissist cannot predict, not because they attack, but because they see, they understand, and they refuse to participate in the narcissist's play. In this insight, the super empath not only protects themselves, but also lights the way with the truth, revealing the darkness the narcissist constantly tries to hide, and, in the end, forces them to confront their greatest fear, the truth about themselves. 3. Solid boundaries. The unbreakable shield of the super empath. If intuitive insight is the flame that illuminates the narcissist's darkness, then solid boundaries are the impenetrable shield that the super empath builds. Not out of anger or hatred, but from a profound awareness of their self-worth, a self-respect that has healed the bleeding wounds of their past. These are not walls built impulsively or out of fear of the narcissist's attack, but clear, solid lines, as firm as stone, drawn from the calm understanding that they are no longer prey to be exploited, no longer the mirror for the narcissist to reflect their fake grandeur. The super empath has been trampled upon before, once allowing their boundaries to be violated by manipulative words and unreasonable demands. But from the ashes of those days, they have learned to rise, face themselves head-on, and declare, "I deserve respect, and I will not allow anyone to cross this line again." The reason these boundaries become a formidable force lies in the very nature of the narcissist. They need to cross others' boundaries like a predator needs space to roam. Their power is built on subjugation, on having others yield their time, energy, and emotions to feed their swollen ego. They demand constant attention, forcing others to sacrifice to meet their endless needs. And when this isn't met, they turn to blame, guilt, manipulation, or attacks to break the will of others. But when the super empath shows up with those unyielding boundaries, the game ends. By saying no, without hesitation, without wavering, they cut off the emotional fuel the narcissist depends on to survive. This is not just a refusal, it is a declaration of freedom, a statement that they are no longer a victim, willing to kneel to please someone else. These boundaries not only protect them from harm, but also become the true face of inner strength, the kind of strength that forces the narcissist to confront their own helplessness. Imagine a real-life scenario. A narcissist, in the role of a friend or relative, constantly demands attention or excessive sacrifice from you, be it midnight calls for comfort, unreasonable requests for time, or pressure for you to put their needs before your own. An ordinary person might give in, fearing being called selfish or losing the relationship, but the super empath doesn't follow that script. With a clear understanding of their worth, they calmly but firmly refuse. "I can't continue if this only benefits you," they say, without long explanations, without justifying their choice. Or when the narcissist tries to push past their boundaries with emotional manipulation, "If you truly cared about me, you would do this." The super empath responds, "I care, but I also need to respect myself." That refusal carries no harshness or malice. It is simple, truthful, and unyielding, like a steel door shutting on unreasonable demands. The effectiveness of these solid boundaries goes beyond personal protection. It strikes directly at the core of the narcissist, sending them into a state of helplessness that they cannot tolerate. The narcissist doesn't know what to do when faced with someone who no longer allows themselves to be exploited, who no longer reacts with fear or guilt, the very emotions they rely on to manipulate. This shield doesn't just block their toxic arrows, it reflects back the truth they don't want to see, that their power only exists when others allow it. When the super empath stands firm with their boundaries, they not only protect their soul from harm, but also inadvertently place the narcissist before a mirror that cannot be distorted, where they are forced to see the failure of their control over a soul that has become free. In that solid resolve, the super empath not only breaks the narcissist's manipulation game, but also affirms a powerful truth, that self-worth, when recognized and protected, is a strength no narcissist can penetrate. 4. Love and justice, the unquenchable fire of the super empath. If insightful intuition is the light that illuminates the darkness, and firm boundaries are the shield that protects the soul, then love, combined with a longing for justice, is the unquenchable fire in the heart of the super empath. A fire that not only burns to keep them warm, but also spreads to warm and protect those around them from the icy cold manipulations sown by the narcissist. The super empath doesn't just stop at protecting themselves from the toxic arrows of the narcissist. They carry within them a higher mission, a passionate desire to expose the truth, not out of hatred or a need for revenge, but out of a deep compassion for others, those who may not yet have the strength to recognize or resist such subtle abuse. This is what makes the difference. They do not fight for ego, they do not act to prove themselves superior, but for a sacred purpose, to let the light of justice dispel the shadows of deceit, so that no one else has to bear the wounds they once carried. This combination of love and justice makes the super empath a formidable threat to the narcissist, as it breaks every rule the narcissist relies on to survive. The narcissist lives in a world where everything revolves around them. They need attention, submission, and the silence of others to maintain control. They expect anger or fear from their victims, as these are emotions they can manipulate, emotions they can twist to serve their own ends. But the super empath doesn't fall into that trap. They act from a place far deeper, where compassion and the thirst for justice merge into an irresistible force. They don't strive for hatred, the very emotion the narcissist can easily exploit, but for a higher purpose, to protect the innocent, to awaken the truth, and to end the cycle of suffering the narcissist leaves behind. This is what makes them a flame the narcissist cannot extinguish, because it doesn't burn on the fuel of resentment, but on love, something the narcissist cannot understand and therefore cannot control. Imagine a real-life situation in a group of friends or colleagues. The narcissist begins to spread lies to protect their image, perhaps slandering someone to cover up a mistake, or creating a fabricated story to garner sympathy. The others may stay silent, afraid of being isolated or unwilling to confront the issue. But the super empath does not choose that easy path. With the calmness forged by compassion, they quietly expose the truth, not by shouting or turning everything into a public battle, but with words as gentle yet sharp as an arrow hitting its mark. I think everyone should know that it didn't happen like that, they might say, with a gentle but firm smile. And I don't want anyone to be hurt by falsehoods. They do this not to get revenge on the narcissist, not to bring them down in front of everyone, but because they cannot bear the thought of another innocent friend being caught in the web of manipulation, having to endure the wounds they once went through. The effect of this fire of love and justice is undeniable. It not only protects those around them, but also shakes the narcissist's power base. When the super empath strives for justice, they inadvertently break the collective control the narcissist relies on, the control maintained through silence and the consent of the crowd. By bringing the truth to light, they plant seeds of doubt in the minds of others, unraveling the shell the narcissist has so carefully constructed. This leaves the narcissist in a state of panic, as they cannot cope with an opponent who does not act out of hatred, an emotion they know well and can manipulate, but out of love, a force far beyond their understanding. That fire does not just burn away lies, it lights the way for those once trapped in the narcissist's darkness, showing them that truth and compassion can triumph, even against those who seem invincible. In this combination of love and justice, the super empath is not only the narcissist's nightmare, but also a beacon for others. They prove that true strength does not lie in retaliation, but in the courage to stand up for what is right. In a love so large it can overcome personal pain and protect others, that fire can never be extinguished, for it is nourished by a higher purpose, a purpose the narcissist cannot reach, cannot extinguish, and in the end, cannot defeat. When we look back at the journey of confronting the narcissist, 4 blazing flames in the super empath's soul rise up as unwavering pillars, making them the nemesis of those who seem invincible. First, there is insightful intuition, the ability to see through the fake mask, to identify the weakness and insecurity the narcissist tries to hide, shaking their fragile ego without a harsh word of accusation. Next, there is the firm boundary, the shield built from deep self-awareness, cutting off the emotional supply the narcissist depends on, rendering them powerless against a soul no longer willing to be exploited. Third, there is resilient rebirth, the strength forged from the ashes of pain, turning the super empath into an opponent who cannot be broken by the familiar attacks of the narcissist. And finally, love combined with justice, the unquenchable fire, driving them not only to protect themselves, but to strive for the truth, to shield others from the vortex of manipulation with compassion and a noble desire. These 4 elements are not just weapons to break the narcissist, but also the guiding light, showing that true power does not lie in revenge, but in the maturity of the soul through the harshest trials. But here is the most important thing I want you to remember. Super empath is not a special group of people born with supernatural abilities, not warriors in shining armor walking out of a fairy tale. They are ordinary people like you and me, people who have been broken, manipulated, and made to feel small by the cruelty of the narcissist. What makes them super empaths is not an innate gift, but the growth through suffering, the determination to rise from the ruins of themselves and turn the scars into strength. Insightful intuition is not magic, it comes from listening to oneself after being deceived. Firm boundaries are not walls built overnight. They are established through learning to say no, even when the heart trembles. Resilient rebirth is not a natural gift. It is the result of healing each wound day by day. And love, combined with justice, is not instinct. It sprouts from compassion cultivated by witnessing the pain of others. What does this mean? It means that any of us, whether once a victim feeling weak, can become a super empath, can develop these qualities to not only survive, but to triumph over the narcissist. Imagine a version of yourself, stronger, more confident, no longer caught up in the manipulation or lies of the narcissist. This is not a faraway dream. It is the path you can begin today. The journey to becoming a super empath does not require you to be perfect, does not demand that you have all the answers right away. It simply requires you to be willing to look at yourself honestly, to recognize your worth, even when the narcissist tried to crush it. Start with small steps. Learn to listen to your intuition when something feels wrong, no matter how cleverly the narcissist tries to disguise it. Begin setting boundaries, saying no to unreasonable demands, even if it feels difficult or guilty at first. Take time to heal old wounds, not to forget them, but to turn them into the foundation of your resilience. And most importantly, live with love and truth, not just for yourself, but for those around you, so that you not only break the narcissist, but also become a beacon for other souls searching for the way out. This is the inspiring message I want to send to you. You don't need to be someone else to face narcissistic abuse. You just need to become the best version of yourself. Each of us carries the seed of the super empath, and all you need to do is plant it, water it with patience and courage, and let it grow over time. The narcissist may make you feel small, but they can never take away the potential inside you, the potential to see, to stand strong, to be reborn, and to love with a higher purpose. You don't have to fight alone, and you don't have to wait for a miracle from the outside. That power is already within you, waiting for you to awaken it. So, I invite you to start your journey today. Recognize yourself, set boundaries, heal your wounds, and live with love and truth. That is the path to not only overcoming the narcissist, but also living a life full of meaning and freedom. If you want to explore more practical ways to cope with narcissistic abuse, build inner strength, and become your own super empath, subscribe to my channel. Together, we will walk this journey step by step, so that you can not only break the narcissist, but also reclaim the light you deserve to shine. Don't hesitate, click subscribe, and let's turn pain into power, turn darkness into opportunity, for you to become the strongest version of yourself.